All right, it's a beautiful new week. It's a brand new Monday morning. Thank you very much for keeping faith with us. Yes, staying with us on Rave 91.7 FM. We would define every beat of your moment to bring you amazing music. We spice it up with quality talk all of the time. That's what we do for a living here. My name is Femi Olanipekun. Welcoming you on board Frank Talk. Well, Frank Talk is that place where we take a look at trending issues in the polity. We bring these issues closer to you, a better understanding, deeper insight into these issues happening in our polity. We let you to actually interact even when possible with some of the key stakeholders in the Nigerian polity. We look at politics and we look at policies. Politics as played out by politicians and policies as mapped out by our policy makers. Well, today we'll be looking at the economy. We'll be joined shortly by one after the other, two eminent economists. And one is a financial analyst, another one is an economist based in the Federal Capital Territory. We'll be looking at the state of the Nigerian economy moving forward, the takeaways from the economic retreat, the retreat held by the cabinet of Mr. President, with a view to finding a permanent solution to the problems bedeviling the Nigerian economy. The economy officially is in recession, but then, some reports saying that the CBN Governor was quoted as saying that we are out of the worst part of this recession. Seems that the worst is over. We're still in recession though, but then it may not just last as long as it should. And then also looking at some of the monies that's been said will be injected into the economy, 350 billion naira. What impact will all of these have on the economy? We'll be joined shortly live on the line from Lagos by Mr. Ademola Adeyinka. He's a financial analyst based in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. And later on, Mr. Paul Alaje will be joining us also live on the line from the Federal Capital Territory. He's also an economist, who's consulted far and wide. Well, let's join Mr. Ademola Adeyinka right now to look at what really is all about the economy. Talking about the Nigerian economy here. Well, the inflation figures released for the month of August, it said that things seems to be getting better. The indices, the indicators seems a bit a slight better, 17.6% inflation rate. Well, it is a bit above the 17.1% we had for July, and not the kind of progression that we were recording earlier as regards our inflation. Seems that that one was beginning to contract. Also, the inflation seems things on the marginal side are getting better. Little statistics, but then how does these reflect in the life of the average Nigerian? That's what we'll be looking at here and the efforts of government in doing this. We're joined live on the line now by Mr. Ademola Adeyinka. Thank you very much for joining us live on Frank Talk this morning on Rave 91.7 FM. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Oh, thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you for joining us. Well, we're looking at the economy once again. You are an expert in that field. So much has been said about the economy, in dire straits. It's a consequence of the past, what has happened to us in the past, the fact that we didn't save for the raining day. And some have also said that we need to also look at some of the policies of the present that also contributed in a way to getting us firmly into the recession. But let me start by asking you, government has responded in a way. We had a retreat for the cabinet, looking at preferring solutions, bringing in private sector people with ministers handling key sectors of the economy on a retreat now. What will you say are the takeaways for us as a nation from this economic management retreat?
Hello, I didn't get you clearly, Femi. Can you go through that again?
Okay, I'm saying that government, in responding to a present financial situation, had a retreat where private sector persons with key government officials handling the economy came together to fashion out ways of taking Nigeria out of this recession. They must have been monitoring and following that particular retreat and what's coming out of it. What are the takeaways for you?
Okay. Okay, if I get you clearly, you're talking about the retreat that the executive had.
Yes.
On the economy. Okay. Yes, it's a good one, but I think it's rather coming a little bit late, but it's better late than never. I'm sure they must have invited a lot of experts into that meeting, also to fashion out ways to take us out of the recession. So personally, I think it's a very good one for the government to do. I hope they'll be able to come up with workable solutions. What we should understand is that Nigeria's recession is peculiar. It's not the kind of recession you read in the textbooks. It was not the kind of recession that Smith of this world ever thought about. We have done a lot of things that an average economic philosopher would never think we would have done as a nation to ourselves. So if we're looking for solutions, the solution to our economic problem has to be homegrown. I do not believe it has to be anything that anybody can theorize about. We have to think deeply about how we have found ourselves and the situation we have found ourselves, and find solutions, try to be better behaved towards getting out of the recession. That's my comment on the retreat that the executive had. I just hope that they will not fall into the same trap of being theoretical. We need to be very practical at this time. We're looking for realist economists, not theoretical economists. The economists that are very practical, that understand the problems of Nigeria. Our economic problems cannot be isolated from social, political problems. It has to do a lot more with our sociology, with our culture improved now. It has to do a lot with the kind of politics we play. So we should, well, like the president said, think out of the box, because this is an unusual recession that we have found ourselves in. So the thinking must be right. It's not the retreat itself that is the real thing. It is the thinking that goes on in the retreat that is the big deal, and that is the one we're waiting for. We're waiting for what the community that would probably release to the public on what they have discussed at the retreat. We have to be frank to ourselves at this time.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at what you said. You said that the Nigerian recession is peculiar. This is one statement that many people have talked about. Experts here in Nigeria saying that Nigerian economic problems are peculiar and homegrown solutions should be preferred, not the textbook solutions. Let me first ask you, what makes the Nigerian situation different from what obtains in other parts of the world? Why is Nigeria's economy and this particular recession peculiar? Why is it different from other parts of the world?
Okay, thank you. I would tell you very clearly that there's no place in this world that I've seen people steal brazenly from the natural treasury. The kind of brazen corruption that went on in the past 8 years or so is unprecedented, and that makes it very peculiar, because people were stealing as if Nigeria would fail and would become no more. Nobody would have thought this kind of corruption would happen. That's number one. Number two, again, is that while people are stealing, the process of that corruption is not even going into the banking system. We've read situations where people kept money in soakaways, in rooftops, in different kinds of funny places. And what that means again is that you have withdrawn money out of circulation. The velocity of money is no longer there. Money is not doing what it should be. Money is not meant to be kept inside drawers or wardrobes or soakaways. That's not where money should be. Money should be in the banking system so that it moves around. You move it from the surplus area to the shortage area. But some people have just conspired to keep the money somewhere. nobody can use it except them. So it makes the economy to sweat and to suffer. That is the second point that makes it very peculiar. The third one is that when we should be saving, we're spending like prodigal children. All right? So there was no saving, and this saving thing, I also understand that the governors of the 36 states contributed to it, because short of putting a gun to Okonjo-Iweala's head that she should spend and spend and spend, they did all that they could to say, no, we don't want this spending, we are this saving, we don't want sovereign wealth fund, we don't want this, we don't want that, just give us money to spend. And they spend on very frivolous projects, and we are where we are today. So those are just 3 points. There are more that make this recession very peculiar. So we must find solutions to it. And we're also in a period where people have lost faith in our naira. Somebody who has 100,000 naira now is not thinking about saving. He's thinking about going to buy dollars on the market and keeping his money in hard currency. Why? Because he can make a lot of gain. If he has patience to wait in a couple of weeks or days, he would make money. So now, people are still using the naira to go after dollars, to get the dollars and keep in their pocket, not in the bank this time around, hoping that when it appreciates, it would give them a lot of profit, a lot of arbitrage profit. So when you look at situations like this, you have to agree that our problem is very, very peculiar, and we must find homegrown solutions to it.
So what are these homegrown solutions you will recommend? If you are to be part of the, retreat going on at the moment, what would be these homegrown solutions I will be suggesting to this team?
Okay, you see, the situation we find ourselves now is different from the situation of 1983 when Buhari came. If you recall very vividly then, I think there was a time during that period that the color of the naira had to be changed, and a lot of people were compelled to take their money back to the bank, all right? And because people were compelled to take money back to the banks now had more liquidity. So the money they stole in were returned back to the banks, and those who could not lost the money because there was a time ban upon which you should send the money to the bank to be changed. But we don't have that luxury because people have become wiser. They no longer steal in the local currency, they steal in foreign currency. And you cannot beg Barack Obama to change the color of the dollar just because Nigerians have been badly behaved. So that cannot happen. But one of the things that you say that must happen is that you must pump money into the banking system as much as possible. It is through the banks that we can reflect this economy, not through any other source. We have to use our banks, we have to trust our banks. Unfortunately, the banks are not trustworthy because they are also part of the problem that has led us to the economic recession. They aided and abetted corruption in the most professional ways. So we have a little bit of challenge there. But if the government can find a way to get the banks disciplined, then they need to pump money through the banks, because all the 350 billion naira that the Minister of Finance is saying they are pumping into the economy is just a tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. The problem is far more than what they are pumping there. When the U.S. had its own recession, in one lump sum, it pumped in about $900 billion into the economy, and successfully for months, they were pumping more and more money. So in this case, if we said to ourselves that we have 3 trillion plus in CSA accounts, my whole recommendation somehow would be for the government to pump at least 1 trillion into the banking system. You can give the banks this money as a bailout at a very good rate, as low as 5% thereabout. Let the banks have this money and mandate them to lend this money out in the market. Okay? Lend them out to specific sectors that can reflect the economy. because a lot of banks are not borrowing now. And you also have to understand that the funny thing the CBN did again is to increase interest rates in an economy that is in recession. You don't do that. But I don't know the thinking behind it. I don't know what they discuss, and they think that increasing interest rates is the best way. I mean, businessmen that are already complaining about very high foreign exchange rates, now you are increasing interest rates, you are compounding their problems. They cannot see profit clearly in their profitability analysis. So what they will do is to close shop until the coast is clear for them to do good business and make money. So we need to put a lot of money in the banking system. That is the way out. But the banks must be disciplined. Are these banks disciplined enough to really help this economy? I do not think so. But I think that one or two of them have to be made scapegoats for them to be disciplined. And once the scapegoats are there, everybody will take up. But we cannot say that we are pumping 350 billion today, 350 billion in another 3 months. The problem of recession is that it gets broader and broader if you don't deal with it decisively. It's like somebody being ill, you know. There are some serious illnesses that you would have, and the doctors will pump you with an increased dosage of the medication so that it can suppress or kill the bacteria or germs as quickly as possible. But if they're giving you one tablet or it may not solve the problem. That is where we are now. We need to do something very drastic. We need to do something very revolutionary. We need to do something very creative. The basic things we learned in economics is that you spend your way out of recession. So this is a recession that we must spend. And if God has given us the wisdom to use TSA to save as much as 3 trillion, why keep it in the vault? It's not meant to be, that is not the concept of money really. Money is meant to be circulated, so why sterilize it? That is one thing I don't understand. And you have to know that this TSA thing came as a shock to the bank. It affected them significantly, and
Hello?
They also have suffered some liquidity as a result of the TSA policy. So we need to really find a way around that.
Okay.
The other one is there must be a little bit of confidence in our local currency. A situation where every time they can carry in Nigeria has suddenly become an FX trader is not good for us at all.
Okay. Well, you talked about spending our way out of this recession. That's one line that's been, repeated by many economic analysts, but then when you say spend your way out of recession, our revenue keep decreasing by the months. Militant activities in the Delta, falling oil prices, which is the mainstay of our economy. And then the TSA you're talking about, many people have said that these are monies allocated to particular sectors in the budget itself. It seems it's complicated. How do we get the money? With the TSA, it's said to be monies belonging to different MDAs that are just kept on their behalf by the federal government.
Yes, revenue has dropped. That is one thing. But we already have 3 trillion according to them, right? So that has nothing to do with revenue now. And we're not saying dash banks. You're giving them for a specific period of time so that they can help this economy. Yes, the revenue has dropped, but the FIRS is also doing a significant job by increasing the internally generated revenue from taxes. That is commendable. But as far as refilling the economy is concerned, we don't have a choice but to pump money out. It is not a dash. It is just something that would create a lot of activity. Companies are folding up because nobody is doing anything. But the worst case is even the service industry that people see as luxury. It's only when they've done their business that they can engage consultants and services. You cannot imagine the number of consultants that have folded up, the number of service companies that have folded up. So we need to do something that would bring activities back. it is not just what they are doing and saying we're giving money to control construction companies and so. No, every sector of the economy must be attacked strategically. That is just what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with the revenue. When the revenue is coming, some of them will still be going back into the CSA and increasing the CSA.
Okay, so I mean, you've heard that this 350 billion naira has been talked about to be injected into the economy. In your own opinion, it's not even enough. You cited the example of the United States that in one fell swoop, released like $900 billion into the economy. Now, with this very small one, 350 billion, how would you even advise that it be spent? You've talked about government seems, narrowing its spending only to the infrastructure. Then you talked about banking also. How would you advise them to break down the spending of the 350 billion naira? Then I come to ask you about the comments credited to the CBN later.
Can you say that again, Femi? I lost that part of it.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about the 350 billion naira was said to have been injected. The Minister of Finance, saying last week that was being injected into the economy as she was speaking at that particular point in time. I say, how would you advise that money be spent to help the Nigerian economy at this critical state today?
I think they already have an idea what they want to use the $350 billion to do. There's a lot of infrastructure deficit. So in the statement I read, she was mentioning specifically the areas they are going to spend the $350 billion on. Yeah, that is good. It adds to what we're talking about. What I'm saying also is that the entire economy must feel this money being pumped into it, the entire economy. And the easiest way for government to do that, sort of going to individual homes and giving them money to say, go and do business, is going to go through banks. They have to go through the banks. They have to give money to banks to increase their capital. They probably also have to reduce the cash reserve ratios and other ratios that are keeping money in the banks for this period and this period only. Once we're out of recession, they can go into more stringent ratios, particularly ratios that banks are expected to comply with. But for now, the banks must be given money to do business. And the SMEs also must be encouraged. And part of what they can do is also to keep that money being given to the bank to empower.
Hello? Well, it's been not that clear today, especially connected to Mr. Ademola Adeyinka live on the line from Lagos State. Lines acting funny all day, but then we try to reconnect back to him again, and then we'll bring on our other guest also on the show today to conclude this particular session, the first phase, and frankly this morning on the economy, we're still looking at it and then efforts of the federal government at restarting the Nigerian economy that is presently in recession. Okay, well, we have him back on the line now. Well, thank you for joining us once again. Just before I let you go, sir, the line has not been particularly good this morning. Just before I let you go, I just want to...
It's threatening to rain in Lagos, so I think that's
okay. It wasn't that. Yes. All right. Well, just before I let you go, I just want to ask about the statement credited to the CBN Governor saying that we are over the worst period of this recession, and expressing hope and optimism that we can even emerge stronger out of this. Do you agree, first of all, that we are out of the worst period of this recession?
That statement is laughable, and I don't know what he had in mind when he was saying that recession is not headache. That when you take Panadol, it is over. No, that's not it. It has a cycle. It has a process. It has some things you must do consistently. So if it says we're out of it, like somebody said, by September we'll have to out of recession.
No, he's saying the worst period is is over. That we're out of the worst part of the recession. I'm not necessarily that recession is over.
He needs to prove it to us. He needs to tell us what he means by that, because some of us believe that we're just gradually settling into it. Maybe what he means is that Nigerians are already used to it, so the hues and cries will be less. But we are not, the worst period is not over yet. In my own opinion, Nigerians need to raise up more. It's not good to give false hope. We need to encourage Nigerians to even be very prudent and in their spendings now, and wait for the worst. You can't just say we're out of it, because we're not even seeing any activities. Dollar is still as equally high as it can be. So we're not out of it in any way.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ademola Adeyinka. We appreciate you joining us live on the line from Lagos this morning. He's a financial expert and, a financial analyst and an economist. We appreciate you joining us live on the line from Lagos. So we'll be joining our other guest on the line today from Abuja this time, Mr. Paul Alaje is an economist also, based in the Federal Capital Territory, to tell us, his own perspectives about this particular, issue we're discussing here today on the program. Mr. Paul Alaje is based in the Federal Capital Territory. He's an economist. He's consulted for many organizations and, across diverse sectors, and we'll be looking at the economy also in recession this time. Efforts at getting it out of that recession. Statement created to the CBN Governor that it seems that the worst part of this recession might just be over, and that we are likely going to even emerge stronger than what it should, what we will think really. And we'll also be looking at some of our past histories about this particular recession. Maybe it was basing his statement on that latest figure by the NBS last month that the inflation wasn't going at that speed as was first feared. Just less than 1% or thereabout, the month-on-month inflation that the NBS released that particular time. We're having difficulties connecting to Mr. Paul Alaje, but then we'll definitely bring him here to you. We'll maybe open the lines for you also to get your own thoughts in. Let's have your contributions about what you think the federal government is doing about the recession. If you think they are working it out on the right path towards restarting the economy, or you think that more needs to be done. We are joined live right now on the line by Mr. Paul Alaje. Thank you very much for joining us live on the line this morning once again from Abuja. We appreciate you, sir. Well, let's have a look at the retreat going on by the government, bringing in some private sector people like you to come and brainstorm and fashion out ways of taking the Nigerian economy out of these dire straits. What do you make of that economic retreat going on at the moment?
Countries that want to develop, to bring in people who are practicing, to bring in people who are not just politicians, but people who are already providing solutions at the business, in their household, and particularly economic level. That's at the macro level. We need these people to work with government in order to develop our economy as we have it today.
If you are part of that economic retreat, what will be your advice? What will be your major advice to the economic management team as to how to move forward?
Clearly, my first and major advice will be how to get our people to work, how to create jobs for our people, particularly youth unemployment, which is 42.24%, and general unemployment in the country, which is about 13.3%, and also to reconsider some of the policies that have been made in error that is ravaging our country right now. So the first thing is, how can we get job for people? To get job for people, it will not be by bailing out state government. For instance, the state of Osun is debt to GDP is abnormal. That is why the state is having some of the things it's experiencing right now. So there are alternative sources of funding that I would advise governments to look at. What are these alternative sources of funding? I mentioned some of them the last time I spoke on your show. We have construction, contractors or companies that construct roads who can make road available to you, and you pay them in future dates. They have access to funds because of how big they are. They can even bring funding from their country to your country. Once they bring this money, it's more than what it used to be because of another policy we made, which is not favorable to our people, which is floating the naira to compete with the global giants. Meanwhile, our naira, as we have it today, because of the nature of our economy, is not as strong as theirs. So between the last time we spoke and now, naira has fallen further, both at the parallel market and official market. So can we reconsider the forex policy? Why? We need to reconsider it because all that we consume is, most of the things we consume, I beg your pardon, is imported. While what we export is not enough, and our export and our exportation is also going down day in, day out.
Well, so sorry to cut in, Mr. Alaje. I'm talking about the forex policy of the government. It would appear that government resisted for some time to acceding to that request and demand by many Nigerians, including experts from the private sector like you, that something need to be done about that particular policy. That time, it seems that, government buckled under pressure to go ahead with the floating. Now you're saying that need to be rethinked again.
That is the biggest mistake. When we advise government to float, government should have floated. We were on JP Morgan's list. To access funds then was cheaper. It was easier. Standard & Poor's rated Nigeria as B+. It is now that we have rated as B negative. The integrity of the country financially is low that we now want to access. We want to raise Eurobond. The time where we are supposed to go to the West and raise money, which has been the tradition, we found our way to the East and said China is going to provide us with the miracle. Not knowing that global economy is run on algorithm. Whether you are in China, whether you import from China, or you import from Republic of Benin, or you import from Ghana, it's going to have implication on the dollar. Thank God governments have realized this, and they are now coming back. But it is too late, and I will give you instance. If somebody has headache, and the person that has headache was not treated, mosquito bite now led to malaria. Because it drank bad water, it led to typhoid. You are now coming to say, oh, the beginning of this problem was headache, so let me get paracetamol or Panadol and give to the patient. You are about to kill somebody because it is not done that way. We need economic surgical operation. Catch it, we no longer cut it anymore. And we are losing time. You know why? We have had negative growth consecutively, which we now call recession officially. I said this what people thought recession started in August, last day of August. It's not true. Recession effectively started last day of June, because that was the end of second quarter. If you have two other negative growth, my brother, we are completely in depression. And you don't want to know the elements of depression. Depression is not what you want to have. So
depression here is even different from recession.
Completely different. They are two different things. Recession is negative growth. People are not able to buy. Income is going down. People are losing jobs. But when you are in depression, there is mass inflation, which will be ranging between 20% or 19%. And we are close to that because we are currently on 17.1. Our unemployment is bad already. But you see, when you are in depression, you will calculate your misery index. It will be above 75%. What do we have now? We can do the math. Underemployment at about 19.1%. And unemployment at about 13.3%. Inflation at about 17.13%. If you add these together, you see it's not palatable for Nigeria. Those are the exact number of people that are struggling with this economy in terms of percent. 13.3% is about 20 million people. It's close to the population of some West African countries who are jobless in our country. When you put percentage, people don't understand it. But by the time you put figure behind the percentage, then people will appreciate what we are talking about. So depression is not what you want to have. Why? Depression might even force people to send the government out of office. So it's not just that we are trying to tell government to reconsider and do the right thing. It's also to secure their faith.
Okay.
As it appears.
All right. So, by your own estimation now, the recession started the last day of June. So, as it were, July, August, and then this is the third month we are in a recession officially. But then going by the comments attributed to the CBN Governor this morning, that we seem to be out of the worst period of that recession, that we seem to be on our way out. Do you agree with that particular statement?
I can't say anything to back that statement up. The last time I checked, fuel prices still remains 145. The last time I checked, people are still losing jobs. The last time I checked, my bag of rice has not gone to 10,000, 12,000. It's still between 17 to 20,000. The last time I checked, Nigeria is still importing education. The last time I checked, most government officials still spend dollars. The last time I checked, a lot of people in the state of Osun have not been paid their salaries. The last time I checked, poverty is still very high. You see, talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. Can you walk the talk? These are figures. These are statistics. You would agree with me that in January, we were told when IMF, was it January or last year, last year, when IMF came to this country, said Nigeria will never go into recession. It's good. I was on national television and I said in next year, first quarter, we are going to have negative growth. Based on what is obvious, second quarter, we had negative growth. Now, you want to bail out, you want to reinflate an economy that was $500 billion and emaciated to a little above $200 billion with 350 billion naira. Does that make sense? So if you are even going to capitalize on what we call a multiplier effect in Nigeria, which is between 3 to 4, but it doesn't work for us, you know why? Because the multiplier effect in Nigeria, our marginal propensity to import is a major loophole that makes all the fund government is going to inject to the economy to leave the country. Those money will create jobs. Alas, the job will not be for Nigerians. It will be for foreigners. Why? Most of the money we pump to our economy don't stay with us because they don't stay with us. Why? They don't stay with us because we use them to buy foreign products. Not that Nigerians are bad people, not that Nigerians don't like made in Nigeria, but they are not available on our shelves.
So, if I get you right, Mr. Alaje, you're saying even the 350 billion naira we're talking about that was injected just last week is not even enough. Remember that we also had like 450 billion naira earlier. We have a total of around 800 billion naira now, according to them, in the last 6 months.
It's a far cry from what we are looking at. President Obama injected $800 billion American economy. And it did not at any point bail out any state. You see, the bailing out of states is a begging bowl that leaks. What was bailed out was private sector. We have a young man in Inewi who manufactures cars. And we say we should buy made in Nigeria. Change begin with me. When all government officials are driving Toyota and Ford, where is the change? Do you get what I'm saying? You see, I don't know. I know government is sincere. I know government is trying. But it appears to me that government don't really know what to do. Honestly, that's the way it appears to me. Because the body language, the way we struggle to get this government to office, I don't know what to say. It's really painful because we are not departing from the past. There is no complete departure from the past. And until we depart from the past, a lot of things will not work. You spend 800 billion naira to an economy. If you convert that to at the current exchange rate at parallel market, it's about $2 billion. You have injected to an economy that lost over $200 billion. Did you get that? So you are spending 1%. Where is the remaining 99%? And most of the money we claim we have injected went through the state governors, who will use most of the money as security votes. Tell me any state that got that money and is not still owing salary. Because the state government is not designed to be entrepreneurs. The civil service mentality is everywhere. So until we empower entrepreneurs, business people, until we bail them out, because they are the people that are giving account of most of the job loss, not civil service.
What? How much now, in your own opinion, do you think is what we need to inject into the economy to kickstart it again, to restart it rather?
If you want to kickstart the economy, when the last budget was being passed, I wrote a couple of documents to National Assembly and some key decision makers and said 6 trillion naira was not even what is enough as budget at all. To do a Nigerian budget that we push up on the right path, we cannot demand for anything less than 30 trillion naira.
But where do we get that money?
Thank you. You don't need to get the money. That's the question they've asked. You don't need to get the money. You can read about President Obama. He did what the world has never done before. We call it quantitative easing. Obama created digital money without printing a paper or currency of fiat. Nigerian is afraid of what the West will do, but the West we are afraid of is doing the same thing we don't want to do. The state of Osun is in economic crisis. I can say that because of the figures I have with me. We are in economic crisis because we don't have enough money in our pocket. So government wants private sector to change. They want individuals to change, and they're saying there's no money. Meanwhile, the biggest responsibility, the biggest asset of any country is the currency. So we have power for currency manipulation, but we don't want to do that. We want to play clean. Let me tell you, one of the biggest countries in the world, as a matter of fact, the second biggest country in the world manipulates our currency, and I know it's no longer news, which is China. United of America, for the first time, did it when President Obama was going to inject such big funds to the economy. The question is, where are they going to get the money from? So Obama did quantitative easing, which the world has never done before. Now, shortly after Obama, the president of France did it, and German chancellor did it. Now, this country as it existed, they said inflation will be high. If we do that, I agree partially, but the question is, what is American inflation rate? 1 digit. Nigeria has not done it. Our inflation is double digit, 17.13%. So what are we afraid of? We are afraid all the old methods, they have all failed. If you say we should think outside the box, which is what government is, the new language government is throwing at us, the ones we have given to them, which is completely outside the box, they said no. They are defeated in all tradition of running economy. What? And it's no longer working because the world itself is becoming dynamic day by day.
Okay, now this quantitative easing you're talking about, would mean that we'll bring in some of these big contractors, Julius Berger and the like, to come and do our construction for us. But won't that also mean capital flight in the long term? We've always talked about empowering our own local contractors right here.
I will tell you, I'm not saying you have to use big contractor. No. It is a source of funds that quantitative easing provides you with. It tells you that, do you know money does not exist anywhere? Money is illusionary right now. Your money is equivalent to your alert or the software you have on your phone. Money doesn't exist anymore. The era of money, paper money, is long gone. Governments of all countries can make money. That's the truth. But it depends on the level of knowledge and awareness. The fact is, before now, people used to do trade by barter. That later changed to the receipt Goldsmith was given. The Goldsmith later said, if I can do this receipt, I don't need to necessarily have gold. Then they started using paper money. Then somebody came, President Nixon in the United States, he took dollar out of gold standard. So the whole world left that. So people now believe so much in the paper they have. Right now, my plastic ATM card is the same with the money I have in bank account. So paper is no longer relevant. Recently, Nigeria joined the rest of the world by saying, let's do digital money. What do we call it now? I can't remember the particular name we gave to it. That we should start running an electronic system of running transactions. The money you have as a country is the total volume with CBN. It may not be some cash stuck in a place. Now, you can create money as a country and inject it to specific sector, not what's it called, recurrent expenditure, because that will really induce inflation to your country. It will cause serious inflation. But for capital projects, you know why? If you want to construct all the federal roads alone in Nigeria, if you want to do that in 4 years, you would have successfully created not less than 12 million jobs. And the money is available with you. 12 million jobs.
I told you about school uniform program that will give you on annual basis more than 1 million jobs. So what is stopping us? If other countries have done it, they did it, and they were successful. What is wrong with us as a country? These are new thinking. You know, Nigeria will still do this, but maybe 20 years from now, when so many countries have done it, we'll now say, yes, we are looking for a safe place. By then, it will be obsolete. No country will be willing to do that again. Because, you see, economics are in troubles right now. So, if the trouble puts them under pressure to unlearn what they've learned before, to learn and to relearn. However, as a country, we want to be stuck in what you have learned before. Meanwhile, the first process of coming out of the economic crisis is to unlearn what you've learned, learn and relearn.
Okay.
That is what I recommend.
All right. Well, I'd like you to stay with us for some few more minutes. We open the lines now. I still have some more questions ready for you. But then let's open the lines. Let's allow people to be part of this very interesting conversation. Mr. Paul Alaje is joining us live on the line from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. I'll be looking at economic recession and really ways moving out of it, what the government is doing at the moment and what the government is not doing. Well, let's open the lines for you now.
You can now join the conversation by calling 0703-175-9177, 0703-175-9177, and 0902-427-3808. You can equally make use of our social media platforms. For WhatsApp, 0703-175-9173, 0703-175-9173. Tweet at us at Rave917FM, and Facebook is Rave917FM. Do remember to turn down the volume on your radio set or move away from it. And please, let's keep our comments civil. Thank you.
All right, let's take the first call. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good morning. My name is Kennedy.
Kennedy, where are you calling from, sir?
From Olanipekun.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy. Let's have a contribution quickly.
Good morning.
Yes.
I want to salute your colleague for the topic you brought this morning. This topic is seriously affecting our economy right now. But the problem we are facing as regards this government is that the president that is leading does not know where we are going economically. There is nothing we can achieve when our currency is not being taken care of. Look at the rate today with dollar, naira with dollar. No bank in the country now can sell a dollar. Only Bureau de change in the legal market, and the government of India, the government of the day, are patronizing them. Why our banks are not capable of doing the exchange rate? Some people in the country now, they have been applying for currency in the last period of 4 or 5 months. No bank in the country could provide us service. Why? Are we saying that these Bureau de change are manufacturing dollar? Why our banks are not, and government is not looking at this side?
All right.
This government needs to sit tight and face the reality on ground.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
so we can take some other calls. Thank you very much, Mr. Kinde from Otan Ayegbaju. Mr. Alaje will react quickly now before. Okay, we have another call. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, last one Adewi, my name from Oshogbo.
Your name again, sir?
Last one Adewi.
All right, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, the man you brought up this morning, I really appreciate his contribution. The problem we are having, he has gone through the technicality of all this. At the same time, look at the bailout. The presidency has been not enough by the time he came to power. Giving out bailouts, there's no follow-up. The governor said, no, got this money. Where is the money? Nobody to check that. I'm sure on a large percentage, no, these governors did not disburse the money as expected.
Right.
Initially, they said central bank will monitor. Equally, there's no amount of money poured into the economy now. It's not properly managed, properly done. we are going to the 0 point again.
All right,
So
thank you.
I think we should be very careful and don't pour money into the ocean.
All right, thank you very much. Another call. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's the name we're calling from?
Yeah, this is Shola Odusesan calling from Ile Ife.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bicheso.
Hello?
I'm with you. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
I'm with you. Go ahead. Oh, my. Well, that dropped. You can call back to contribute to the program here today, looking at the economy of our country. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's the name where you're calling from?
Adiladi from Eden.
All right, thank you for joining us.
Now, government of the stop complaining. This would be strategic thinker. How to bail ourselves from this mess we mess ourselves. Imagine the money they've already pumped to the Fed. That one can never work. They bring people to the entrepreneurship. Primary school, secondary school, that can get people in the farm also. Now, you see the past government that increased the price of the fuel in the OPEC market. Wari was part of the past government before. Abuja was part of the government before. I think Obasanjo over for 8 years. They didn't do the single refinery. We keep on think of exporting from abroad. It cannot help us. They to help the small scale manufacturers.
All right.
These guys, they got this company too.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you very much. Let's take the last call before we go today. We return to our guest. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's the name where you're calling from?
My name is Samuel. I'm calling from Oshobo.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel.
Yes, please, I would like Mr. Paul to explain that phenomenon he's trying to explain about creating money that doesn't exist. I was following the train of thought. I want to really understand it, please.
About creating money?
Yeah, he was talking about what the U.S. government did about the $800 billion that they injected into the economy.
Okay.
How we can do that.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, that'll be the last call really here today. Let's return to Mr. Alaje now. Thank you very much for staying with us patiently, Mr. Paul Alaje. Well,
thank you so
yes.
very much.
All right. Our last caller, we'd like you to explain more in detail what you meant by creating money. The example you cited about President Barack Obama of the United States creating money out of nowhere to fund that injection of about $800 billion into his country's economy at a time when they were having economic challenges also. Saying, how do we replicate that here in Nigeria?
Thank you so very much. How to create money is the second alternative countries are faced with when they have financial crisis. The first alternative will be to borrow. Before that time, America as a country was the biggest borrower from China. But because as they were borrowing from China, the economy was getting weaker and the overhead, the cost of borrowing was increasing. Obama directed Sept, which is Federal Reserve, which is also equivalent of our central bank here, to think outside the box, create alternative to financing. America must get people back to work. So what American economy did, for the sake of radio, I may still not be able to tell you in detail, but I will try to tell you what you need to know right now because of some secrecy, which of course I cannot divulge on here. It was that President Obama directed the head of state to make money available. Now, if you want to make money available, it is by manipulating the total amount of money available, which is technically done by increasing the value of money you have in your vault and spending that in specific sectors, such as infrastructure, driven sector, that's construction, road construction, schools, etc., etc. If you now, as you are doing this, you must create nets to collect the money back from the economy. And what is that net? Through taxation. So as the money is going, because you spent in a specific sector, and it is digital money, it is within the banking system, the people have access to it. What access do they have? Only part of the money will find its way to your economy in terms of payment of labor, salaries, etc., which is the ultimate intention of government. Now, other parts which will be used to buy capital is leaving your country. Because even America still imports. They import a lot from China. So it causes crisis not in your country, but causes crisis in the rest of the world. And that is what America has done. And that is when America did it. France did it. Germany also did the same thing. What stops Nigeria from doing the same? We want to be the good boy for the rest of the world.
But we've talked about the Nigerian situation being peculiar, that our recession is peculiar, our economy is peculiar, our people are peculiar. Are you sure that this is going to work in a Nigerian environment?
Lies. Nothing is peculiar with us. We have over-exaggerated our issues. Nothing is peculiar with us. It is the way we have managed our economy that is why we have the kind of results we have. Nothing is peculiar with us. So when people say Nigeria is peculiar, we are this, we are resilient, I agree with them, but when it comes to that we are peculiar, that is why we have the kind of economy we have. It's a lie. It is not true. If we do the right thing, you will get the right results. That is, if you do the right thing at the right time. Now we want to do the right thing, borrow, which is the first option. But for me, I will not recommend borrowing. You know why? For every 1 naira we will earn from the 2016 budget, we will be spending 33 kobo to finance previous debt. So if you borrow more, you are increasing part of the money you are earning to service, not to pay, to service previous debt. The debt is still there. Only to service the debt, we will be spending 33 kobo out of every 1 naira. So for me, if my people will be better first at this time, then we can make such policy.
All right,
now, if you do that, what is the next option we need to do in order for us not to feel the shock? Is to abandon our currency. We are not the first. Germany did it. Hungary did it. We can also do it.
Well, Mr. Alaje, we'll come back to talk about some of these options. Interesting, but then because of our time, we just have to go now. Well, that seems to be, a very weird one. Abandoning our currency, what would we go for? But that will be another time when we bring you on the show here on Frank Talk on Rave 91.7. We'd like to thank you sincerely for joining us once again on the program.
Thank you so very much.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, you this now, we appreciate you too for listening to the program here today. On behalf of my team and executive producer, Femi Adefila, my name is Femi Olanipekun. Thanking you so much for listening, asking you to have a super week.